Hello, and welcome to Magic is Gathering. Thank you so much for joining us today here in Card Kingdom's temporary studio in my house. We're here in the state of Washington, which is under a stay-at-home order, so we are having to figure out a different way to serve out Magic content to you, our community. And so we created this show, Magic is Gathering, as a platform to share the stories of Magic creators, business owners, developers, designers, the stories that they have of how COVID has impacted them. Today we have a really special guest that I'm really excited to get to. But real quick, I just want to check in with you, our audience, to make sure y'all are doing okay. It's been a little rough for me. It's now a month into the stay-at-home order. Starting to feel the new normal, and it's a scary time. And it's okay to feel frustrated, and it's okay to have to be scared by what is going on right now. We don't really know what the future entails, but we as a community should come together and support each other and be brave to share your stories with that community so that we can all support each other. That's why we created Magic is Gathering, because while Magic is, us all physically gathering around a table, often playing Commander or drafting or playing Legacy or any of the formats you love. But it's also about us gathering together as a community and supporting each other in times like this, or when we have things to celebrate as well, to support and be that community. So I hope that you all are doing fine at home. I hope that you and your families are safe and healthy and staying sane in this time. And I hope that you and your Magic community are coming together to support each other. So today we have none other than Dylan Jupp of Geek Fortress. It is a local game store in the north part of Seattle. We're really excited to share his story. Dylan, sorry about that, chat. We had a couple audio issues, but that should all be sorted out now. Hello, Dylan. How are you?
I am great. Yes. How are you?
Good. As I was telling chat a moment ago, it's been a little bit of a down day for me. I think I'm just starting to feel the isolation, kind of being stuck in the house, not being able to kind of share those games of Magic with people. But life goes on.
Yeah. Yep. No, I get it. Yeah, we're on week 3 now, I believe, when they finally shut down the businesses. That's when I decided to just pack it up and head home. So
Yep.
we're feeling it too, especially with a 5-year-old running around nonstop.
Oh,
So
yes. Yeah. Chat, if you can, please post a little note in chat to let us know that Dylan's audio is working. It's all pinging correctly on our side. Sorry about those issues. But hello, Dylan. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us. If you wouldn't mind, share with us a little bit about what you do for Magic.
We run a game store, and by we, I mean pretty much me. Obviously, a lot of the things that I've been known for lately has been the Battleground. That was a big thing, and then of course, just like running a lot of competitive level events, which has kind of been something that I, kind of piggybacked off of the PPTQ system that they did away with, realizing that people enjoy playing competitive level Magic for big prizes. So I just kind of kept doing it and it
Yeah.
worked out. So
Rad. Well, can you tell us a little bit more? Like, what is Puget Sound Battleground?
yeah, so it was really funny. So when they announced that the Seattle GP was going to be, I think it was limited or standard, one of the two, I can't remember. The next day, I jumped on it because I saw how many people were upset about that. So I was like, okay, let's see how many people I can get to just show up and play competitive level Magic. And then, I reached out to Anton Maddox, who was actually at my store one time, and I was like, hey, how many people do you think you could get for like artists, and we can actually have like artists there? And then he ended up getting like 8 people or 9 people or whatever. So all of a sudden I had artists. And then I reached out to a vendor down in Portland, and he came up and brought a ton of really good stuff. And then an old school group reached out, and then the Canadian Highlander group reached out, and it was just like one thing after another. And all of a sudden we had an entire day's worth of events and a vendor and artists, and it worked out great. And then we did it again in Everett, which was even better because we were actually able to do a 2-day event last November.
Yeah.
And that was super cool because not only did we have the artists there as well, but we actually had two local vendors. Zulu's is my
Hmm.
buddy Matt owns that, and I've known him long before either one of us opened up a game store. So he vendored it and had a great time. The artists had a great time. We did a multiple day event, an old school event. The Canadians came down, and we had this whole like USA versus Canada thing that is absolutely just a ton of fun. Yeah, they absolutely love it. And this time the Canadians they got us. They deserved it this time. They whooped up on us this time. But
Yeah.
and then just the judges, uh, Stefan Clausen was an absolute dream when it came to recruiting people. He was able to find some of the best judges out there, like Richard Neal and some other
Mm.
people that I'm just like spacing on, but they all were so good. And then so the judges, the artists, the vendors, and then really after that, it's the players. The
Yeah.
players showing up, and they did. Which was really, really cool. And we were actually scheduled to do our next one in about 3 weeks from now. And
Yeah.
obviously, we're not going to be doing that. So,
Yeah.
um, but it's just super cool. It's something that I really thought would work out because of how many events that I've done. But this was a much bigger scale, cash payout and the artists and everything. And I just kind of had the hopes that the people would show up,
Yeah.
and they did. And that makes it the best. The players showed up to support the event. The event was successful in the sense that the artists they had a great time and they made a profitable day, and that's good because all I could do was give them a seat at the table. I
Yeah.
couldn't pay them anything. I'm not able to like put them up at hotels like bigger places can. I'm just like, they're local, show up and hang out, and it worked out for them, worked out for the vendors and everything. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, I can attest. I love right after the Puget Sound Battlegrounds because I get to hear my coworkers and some of my old coworkers at Cafe Mox. They will go down and play this event as well, and they love it. I really love hearing how they did and all the really cool high level matchups that you're able to put together. And I know the amount of work that goes into putting on an event like this. So, I do want to say I feel really bad that the investment you put into your upcoming event that had to get canceled is tragic, and so I'm really excited for a future PSB so that we can get back into things. But if you
yeah,
would,
yeah.
oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, I am too. I'm hoping. I did reschedule it for July,
Okay.
um, but I mean, at this point, who knows? But
Yeah.
we rescheduled it for July, and then as we kind of progress through the next couple months, we'll see if that's too early as well, and then maybe we just figure out another time in the future or something. So
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if you wouldn't mind, I'd love to hear a little bit more about your store, Geek Fortress, in the north part of Seattle in Snohomish. Kind of how that came about, why you decided to open your own game store, and how that experience has been for you as an LGS owner.
yeah, so I mean, it's a smaller store. We're like 2,100 square feet, but my my reasoning for opening up a game store is not the most inspiring, which it's kind of funny because I'm only a few blocks away from Snohomish High School, and
Hmm.
I've had kids come down and uh, ask me the same questions. They're doing interviews or doing for school credit or whatever.
Yeah.
And really, the only reason why I opened up a game store was because I didn't like my job at the time. um, and the other thing, I mean, it was that, but it was also like I didn't see a lot of game stores in the area that just on that side of the freeway. So like
Yeah.
there was a couple stores in Everett. There's a really small store that was a little bit more of a hobby shop in Lake Stevens, and then there's nothing in Monroe, nothing in Snohomish, one store in Marysville, and really nothing around. And I've been playing Magic for so long that I just kind of had the idea that I could probably just do it better.
Yeah.
Um, of course, not knowing what I'm getting into, but the idea that I knew what a game store should look like, and took little things that I liked from all these other stores, and then just kind of took those ingredients and then created the store that I had, and then obviously the rest of it I just kind of learned on my on the way. So
Yeah. Yeah, well, I can attest to the fact that right now chat is saying that you have community engagement plus 1,000, which I think is great, and that really lines up well with the story you just shared. That you created this out of a love for the game, and also out of hate for your old job. I hope that you love your new job now as an LGS owner, at least on some of the days. Now might be a
Yeah,
little bit more of a
yeah.
difficult time.
It has its ups and downs, that's for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, my old job was fine. It just like it was more. I just it was a tech job and just
Hmm.
doing computer repair and system administrator. And I can only sit down on a computer for so long until I'm just like, okay, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah. Well, one other positive little chat message here. Ragrock14 says Dylan of Geek Fortress. It's that's their home store. They love how much you work to cultivate a positive atmosphere. So, from one game store employee to another, I really appreciate that you focus on community first and foremost. I think that's important. It's I don't. I really don't believe that in this country there is somebody that has opened a game store because they want to rake in the cash. I think that we all do it because we love the game, we love the community, we want to serve the community in a way that we may not think is being served. And I think you're an embodiment of that. So I really appreciate everything you do up at Geek Fortress and all the big events you put on, like Puget Sound Battleground.
Yeah,
So
yeah, for
with
sure.
that, Chad is asking about Greek Fortress, but we're going to save that for a little bit later for your new venture, restaurant Greek Fortress. I'd love to kind of pivot the story and hear some of the hard stories you may have to tell about how COVID has impacted your business. And also, we can take a break here too. You've got a kiddo that just popped
No,
in frame.
he's okay. He can come in here and he'll just talk a little bit. You want to come say hi? Come here, bud. You can go ahead and keep going.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd love to hear how your story is now under the restrictions of what COVID has done with players not able to come out to your store. How are you still serving that community?
Yeah, I mean, so for right now, just over the last little bit here, we set up a Discord, and that's one thing that like I don't know a lot about, and setting up the Discord and then having people join it
Yeah.
to be able to find other people. So we did that, and and then there's about 30 or 40 people here within the first like day or so. Um, and then also another thing that we did was I found this program that I found this program called Whereby, where we can actually just stream and watch each other playing and stuff like that. And so, on top of that, I'm still able to like, I know, but I'm still able to do like online. Okay, okay, shh, do online store credit and stuff like that, and helping, allowing people to like, purchase online credit that then they could use later on, and trying to give like a good deal on it as well, like a little bit of a bonus thing. So
Yeah. Yeah. I've been hearing a lot of stories about how you are going above and beyond to serve your community, including making deliveries to people's houses or meeting them at your store to still be able to sell them those cards while still practicing safe distancing, social distancing. But the
yeah,
story I'd love you to share is I heard that you are also bringing another product to their doors sometimes.
yeah. So we've done a lot of board games.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's a big thing. And but yeah, also we've been delivering a lot of beer. A lot of beer.
Yeah.
Skylar, not for Skylar though. um, but yeah, one thing, and basically a lot of porch drop-offs.
Yeah.
It's yes, not for Skylar. No beer for Skylar. Not for at least 2 or 3 more years. No.
Yeah, he'll be a pro Magic player before he gets to the beer stage.
Yeah. But yeah, we've been, I've also been shipping stuff because it's easy for me. The store's been shut down, so it's easy for me to just go in there, ship some things because there's no one's been in there for weeks, so I know there's no like, worry about contamination.
Yeah.
This is so funny right now. But yeah, so a lot of porch drop-offs, which has been really great. And I've just had people message me to say, hey, let me, get a couple beers and then a board game and
Yeah.
call it a day. So
Well, and I suppose as a parent yourself, which is evident in this episode, that Board games are a great way for people to connect in this time where they're, stuck in their homes and having to kind of stay to just family groups. Board games are a great way to connect, and I think it's great that you're able to still continue to provide that service to your community to help them weather this storm. Um,
Yeah, it's been really nice, and people have been really nice too. Buying store credit that they're not even using right now, which has
yeah,
been awesome, and pre-ordering things that aren't out for another month, which is just that's been really just I don't know. I can't like put it into words how like appreciative I am of people buying Commander product that doesn't even come out for 4 weeks, but they want to
yeah.
buy it now. So they know they get it, but also to help out in a time that anyone as a small business could use.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think that your story probably resonates really strongly with LGS owners across this country where they are in a really tough position. A lot of small businesses can't afford to, and large businesses can't afford to take a month off of fulfilling operations. There's a lot of payroll, there's a lot of employees that you have to continue to support and provide health care for. So I'm really happy to hear that you're able to find at least a low level of service that you can provide out to your community to keep the doors open and the lights on until we
Yeah,
can get back
yeah.
together and play
Bills
Magic in
bills
person.
don't stop. It's weird.
Yeah, yeah, turns out.
Yeah.
And you mentioned before that this is pushed off the next Puget Sound Battleground, which is a big event that you run each year, several events that you run each year. But you have the next one scheduled for July, you said?
Yeah. The second weekend of July.
Yeah,
It's the weekend after the 4th of July, so that's when it's scheduled for now. Again, I don't know if that's going to be a time where we can have hundreds of people inside of a room and
sure.
whatnot. Um, I would probably bet it's not, but we're still kind of taking it because if we can, I definitely want to try it as long as it's safe.
Yeah.
And if we can't, then
Yep.
we try for another date that will be. So
Yeah. Well, I think that's great. I've got my fingers crossed that we can get to that point as quickly as possible. I know in the state of Washington, we've done a great job of limiting the spread of COVID to a point where we might be able to start loosening restrictions soon. But to our viewers at home, last week we had Andrew Raddick on the program who actually was directly impacted by COVID when they caught it and had to fight it off after a Magic Fest where they think they got it. It's a serious thing. So to our viewers, I really ask you, please follow the advice of scientists in our community that have figured out how the best way for us to fight this off as a community together. So it's tough. It's real tough to stay in our homes. For those of us with children like Dylan, I imagine it's a blessing and a curse. It's got to be wonderful to spend a little bit more time with your family, but at the same time, that's a lot of family time, and that's a lot. That's probably why you're wearing the chainmail. I imagine it's not actually for the show. It's to protect protect yourself from the kiddo.
yeah, it is fun. Yeah, this is the most. I mean, this is the most time I've ever had off since opening a store.
Yeah.
So, like, this is my longest vacation ever. And I'm still trying to do things to keep busy. But oh man, I appreciate it, and at the same time, I really miss just being able to go and go to work,
Yeah.
like a lot of people probably do.
I miss seeing being physically present with a lot of my coworkers, and there's a large portion of the Card Kingdom and Mox Boarding House staff that had to be put on standby just so that we could help weather this storm. In the meantime, we are providing health benefits for all those people. I imagine must be a similar story for you. I'm sure you have employees that you've had to either put on standby or onto reduced hours in the meantime. But um, it's tough. It's a scary time. I hope that we can all kind of get
Yeah,
past this as soon as possible so that we can all get back to work and be in a safe, healthy place.
yeah, that would be nice. It'd be nice to just get past all this, but
Yeah.
all we can do is wait.
Yep. Yeah. Well, things have gotten a little dark. We've talked about some scary stuff, but I'm really glad to hear the ways in which you've been able to continue to thrive in this. But to lighten the mood a little bit, I think it's time that we play a little game of Debate Watch. So Debate Watch is a little game that we designed as part of our local game show series. Dylan and I are going to be arguing over a topic, which is at the bottom of the screen right here. What planeswalker would have the best YouTube show? And also, what would that show be? I think that's part of that question as well. We've chosen our planeswalkers ahead of time. Today, I will be representing Dovin Bond. And Dylan, who have you chosen for your planeswalker?
Oh, we are going to be doing Dak Faden.
Dak. Oh, man. Why didn't I pick Dak? Okay, well, that's fair. You're the guest. You get the better choice. How this is going to work is each one of us is going to have 60 seconds, starting with me since it is my show, and give the guest a little bit of an opportunity to think some more about why the Planeswalker we chose would be the best at this topic. In this case, would have the best YouTube show. After both those minutes, we're going to have 60 seconds on the clock, in which case Lavinia here is going to just make sure that we stick to the time. We're going to try our best, Lavinia. I apologize if we go over. But meanwhile, chat, you are the ones that are actually going to be voting. You'll be judge and jury over who's going to win this. So in chat, please just throw in if you think that it's Dovin after my argument, just scream it out. If you think it's Dak after you hear the other great side of this argument, shout that out. Or if there's a planeswalker that we didn't put forward that you think is a great choice, feel free to share that in chat as well. And for those of you watching on YouTube right now, you can throw those in the comments down below. Still feel like you're part of it. We'll be checking that and responding to any comments we get there. So I think it's time to just kick right off into Debate Watch. All right, Dovin Bond is going to create the best YouTube show as far as planeswalkers go because he can see the fault in anything. It's like the perfect product review YouTube show. He can take any product in the world, he can look at it, and he can tell you immediately what's wrong with it. And then he can tell the designers of that product how to make it better, which is a great show. I mean, he is literally the perfect lock-picking lawyer. He's going to take those locks and break almost every single one of them and show you how to break into that. Plus, I mean, this is a planeswalker that had both of his eyes stabbed out. He's blinded. And still went home and was like, no big deal. I've memorized where everything is in my house. I'll be fine. And that's the kind of determination you need from a YouTube content creator. Of course, after that, he also got one and then the other one of his hands chopped off. But I mean, I think there's no better analogy for trying to be a influencer than having yourself be blinded and chopped off your hands, because that's kind of what it feels like when you are a content creator. And that is why Dovin Bond would be the best planeswalker to create a YouTube show. All right. So Dylan, there was my 60 seconds. I'm going to put 60 seconds on the clock. As soon as you're ready to start, you can kick off.
All right. Well, I can go ahead and start off. That's a pretty good one. I didn't know all of that about Dovin Bond, but I'm going to go with Dak Faden because I was thinking, how cool would it be to see the things that he has stolen? The greatest thief in the multiverse. And he is just showing you all of these things. He's probably showing you Liliana's, like, one of her, like, favorite zombies, probably showing you all sorts of, cool stuff. Probably has one of Nick Bolas's toenail clippings. I don't know. But the thing that he reminded me of was the Collector in the Marvel movies. And when you're going, and every time I see those scenes, he's got all these cool things. And all I could think about was Dovin, or not Dovin Bond, sorry, was Dak Faden, and showing all of these cool things that he has stolen from all of these planeswalkers. He's like, check this out. Here is such and such that I stole from this plane and whatnot. And I just feel like he would show off this, it'd be this cool collector ability. And as a collector, I would 100% watch that, someone stealing cool collectibles.
Very nice. So that's your time. That was a pretty great argument. So chat, we're going to leave it up to you, and those of you watching on YouTube, feel free to drop in the comments below which one of you think is right, or if there's another answer, perhaps Nissa is your planeswalker of choice, share that in the comments and why you think that is the best choice. We're going to put 60 seconds back on the board right underneath Lavinia here, in which case, which time Dylan and I will have a chance to rebut each other's arguments while you feel free to vote out there in the internet. So, I mean, Dak Faden, he would steal your heart. And that's not a fair competition here. But I will be honest. I would look forward to seeing Dak show how he's doing a lot of these big heists. Like, I want to see him break it down. But you know who would break it down even better? Dovin Bond. So you can feel free to rebut me as well. I know that Dovin Bond is a great argument. Dak may be a little better.
Dovin Bond is very good, and actually, you know what? I thought that would be. He kind of reminds me of one of the guys in the Guardians of the Galaxy. I always go back to
Yeah.
the of course Marvel movies because that's what I know. But Yondu, and very very cool character, very cool looking. So it'd be hard, but I just feel like. With Dak Faden, with all the cool things that he's got, definitely people mention that he's very charismatic and whatnot. Dovin is definitely a little bit more probably dry humor that not a lot of people are going to understand. So I feel like just the charisma level of
Yeah.
Dak Faden would be more fun to watch than the blue boring man.
That is my fear as well. He looks great. Dovin looks really good. I mean, technically perfect looks, I would say. But yeah, I imagine it'd be a pretty boring show. He really loves those Azorius rules. He would probably just kind of stick to a lot of that. So, chat, it's up to you. Go ahead and throw your votes into chat right now if you think that it should be Dak Faden or Dovin Bond. That was the best Planeswalker to have a YouTube show. We'll give you just another about 15 seconds here to throw in your votes, and then one of us will win, or perhaps none of us will win if you all vote for Nissa or Chandra or somebody else. It's not looking good for me so far, Dylan. I will say that. we got a lot of Dax coming in. Yeah, this is a Dax stream now. I agree. Nub Tub the God. Yep. All right. So we'll call it Dak Faden. Definitely, I should have thought a little better about who I went with. I think would be the best Planeswalker to create a YouTube show. Dak has not only stolen my heart. He's stolen the competition, and he's stolen the rest of the stream. So congratulations, Dylan, for winning Debate Watch. Yay!
Yay!
All right, so I want to kind of bring stuff back down a little bit. Domri was another person that they threw out there. Xenagos was one that I thought of because I figured that'd just be a great party show, but I don't know if it'd match YouTube's content restrictions. But yeah, I'd love to talk to you a little bit about how we as a Magic community can support local game stores during this time, whether that is Card Kingdom, Mox Sporting House, whether that's Geek Fortress, or their own local game stores. How can we as a community help support that environment to make sure that we have a really robust and healthy LGS when we come back to it?
Yeah, so I mean, what some people have done for me is just the purchasing of store credit or product if they have an online product or whatever they do sell, buy it from them. I had people that bought some D&D books just today, and they specifically said that they're avoiding buying it online from a major online place, even though it might have been cheaper. Yeah. I know, buddy. And we know that the internet is generally always going to be cheaper, for the most part. But like it's times like these where a lot of businesses will go under. I mean, like it's kind of a bummer thing to say, but yeah, it's gonna happen. It's gonna feel really bad. But if we can do anything to help out, I've done myself where I've done, I try to do takeout, at some local places that I know the owners or I know the people that work there. If I'm going to do takeout, I'm not going to go to, a major chain. I won't say any specific ones, but we all know the ones. Try to, that kind of stuff. And I actually sold out of almost all my commander decks in like a week, and it's not even out for a month. And that's stuff that will really help, for the next coming weeks and all of those stores. A lot of them, like, I was talking about my buddy Matt over at Zulu's. He has a lot of employees, and they're doing a ton of really cool stuff. And there's other stores in the area that are probably trying to do something. So it's a tough time, and the people that bought store credit, I had, I can't thank them enough. And then they turn around and use it on Ikoria that's coming out. Which is great because that's what we want to use it for. Yeah. So that kind of stuff, just trying to, maybe it's going to cost you a few extra bucks, but that's huge that you're buying it from that store as opposed to somewhere online. Yeah. It's because a booster box is $5 cheaper online. It's not worth it just to save the $5, help out the local places, all of them, not just me, all of them, because we all want to see them open when we return because who knows when that's going to be. So
yeah, and to reiterate that point, like Amazon might have those great prices, but what sort of environment does Amazon create for you, the gamer, the Magic player? You can't go into the Amazon store and sit down at a table and play against your community and have that atmosphere and have that local game store owner in the space to, help you brew or point out some cards that you may be missing or find that great deal, or when something does come in, maybe they hold it for you. Focus on that community. I think that local community is the most important things that we can continue to develop as Magic players right now. Support your local game stores. Share your love for your local game stores online. Go on Facebook, talk about how awesome Geek Fortress is, or Mock Sporting House, or Zulu's. Those stores and those employees are really hurting. And anything that we as a community can do to help build up those communities and share those communities so that, when things do reopen, we're able to get that jump start and get right back into the service, the business we love, which is creating an awesome atmosphere for you all to play games in, whether that's Magic or D&D or RPGs or Warhammer. Support your local stores as much as you can. And support yourself. And if you're hard up right now, I know there's a lot of us out there that are having a tough financial time. It doesn't need to be a direct purchase. It might just be that extra social presence that you can do by talking about that game store is really important.
Yeah.
So, Dylan, I'd love to take a moment to share some stories about some of the positive things that have come out of the COVID-19 pandemic. Um, this one is not Magic related. I'll share my quick one first, and then I'd love to give you some space to kind of share some of the stuff that's happening in your community. But last week I had a meeting with one of my coworkers, and I saw it on the street outside my house. There was a father and his young child sitting on the side of the road, just kind of sitting there. And it's kind of weird, especially now in today's climate. It's kind of weird to see people just kind of hanging out. Normally people are moving. And so I was keeping an eye on them. After about 10 minutes, I saw a literal parade of cars drive by. They all had balloons, big signs on the side, and they were all wishing this young kid a happy birthday. And it was really clear that this family had reached out to their community, and that community had gathered together and safely gathered in cars to drive by and wish this kid a happy birthday in the only way they could, and doing it as closely as they could. So it was a really wonderful moment to see the community still creating there and to support each other, which I think is important in this time. Dylan, do you have any stories of some of the cool stuff that's happening in your community?
Um, I know there's a bunch of really cool things that have definitely been going on. One thing, that I could think of off the top of my head was there was a customer of mine who their kid had a birthday during the middle of this, and I mean, basically, they weren't able to, they obviously can't have any friends over.
Yeah.
Yeah, kid, you turn into a trampoline, by the way, when you have a 5-year-old. So, okay, they couldn't go out anywhere to get presents either, which was a really bummer as well. So when they saw that I was delivering things, they actually had me deliver a couple board games that he was asking for, some booster packs of Magic, and a D&D book that they couldn't get online quick enough. Okay, but hold on. But they saw that I was doing it. They lived in the same town. And then I just drove it over to him, and they said that he was so excited that he actually could get some presents on his actual birthday and didn't have to wait for shipping, which was, made me feel good. And, it's nice that they were buying stuff and whatnot, but also it's just, they said that he was really happy, and he's one of the kids that comes into our store. We have a small little D&D group that comes in, and they're all like 10 to 12 years old, and it's great to watch them play. And not knowing or not being able to have your friends come over at that age, I know is tough.
Yeah,
and
So and to be that young and may not be able to understand the full breadth of the situation, why they can't see their friends, is a really tough spot.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that is a really wonderful story to hear, and I'm really glad to hear that you're able to provide that service out to your community. And to kind of touch back to our last point, that is the service that LGS can offer to you. I don't think that Jeff Bezos is gonna go grab that D&D book and drive it to your door to make sure your kid's birthday is, as good as it can be in this situation. But LGS owners, those are local business owners. They are going to go that extra mile. And that's why it's important that we all in this time support them and do everything we can to make sure that they're going to be healthy and still around when we're able to get out back to the tables. Well,
Yeah.
I've got a couple last questions for you that I ask everybody. So we're going to go through these real quick, and then we'll kind of let you get back to being a trampoline. I know that Skylar is real interested in getting back to playing. So first off, what restaurant or food are you most excited to go back out and get when things open it up? Is there a local restaurant that you're just really excited to support and get out and have?
Yeah, there's a local bar in Snohomish that is I know the owner, and it's kind of our local gathering place, and that's one place that I know is going to be, he's an older guy that runs it, and he's ran that place for years and years, and all of the bartenders, Piccadilly Circus is a great place. Their food is great. It's a little British pub, and
Yeah.
all the bartenders play Magic, and they bought stuff from me, and the DJs and the bouncer, they all play Magic. So that's gonna be my first place I go.
Nice. All right. And second question, and then I'll let you go because I see that you need to be a trampoline here in a second. What public Magic event are you most excited for when things calm down? Whether that's a friendly EDH night or drafting, or maybe it's Puget Sound Battleground.
Well, I'll take the boring answer on that one. F&M is always just the best.
Yeah.
It's the biggest group of people. We draft and do Canadian Highlander, and our Highlander has been great.
Yeah.
And those people really love that format. So that's definitely one. And then probably besides that, the team trios.
Yeah.
That's what we're probably going to be doing first and foremost, because that's the biggest gathering of people. So
yeah. Wonderful.
Buddy. Sorry.
Well, Dylan and Skylar, thank you both so much for joining us today, sharing the story of Geek Fortress and of Puget Sound Battleground and some of the troubles that you're encountering in this pandemic. I hope that you continue to be safe and healthy, and that you're able to keep providing that really fantastic service to your community. And I'm so glad to see that you guys are doing well, and I can't wait for things to reopen so that we can I can get up there and do some team trios with you and play some Magic across the table.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. This was a lot of fun to go out there and talk about stuff and be bounced on by a 5-year-old.
Yeah. And to you, our viewers, thank you for joining us again today. Please share your story. So go on Twitter, use the hashtag #MagicIsGathering to talk about how you may have been impacted by COVID, or how your community is gathering together to support you. Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.